Hey everyone, PLF here. Welcome to episode one of the NerdFest Gaming Podcast. Um, Today we're going to be discussing Pokemon, and I figured why not get, uh, in my opinion, as well as a lot of other people's, arguably the best competitive battler today, Joey, PokeaimMD. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. Like I said before, I definitely think that's an exaggeration, but I do appreciate being here, and it's a lot of fun talking and playing Pokemon. So, yeah, pleasure's all mine.
Okay. Um, One of my mods said hi and thanks for being here as well.
Of course.
Um, so, like we've said, we're going to be talking about sort of the metagame in general, how the DLC might affect it, the DLCs in general, little bit about just Sword and Shield overall, and then kind of just anything else Pokemon related we decide to talk about. Um, So when we had been discussing this in prior takes, of course, the Wish teleport Clefable and Fish's Rend on Dracovish, the two central points of the current meta. Like Dracovish brought Seismitoad up to OU.
Yeah, which is ridiculous when you think about it. It's not until it's okay, but at best, it was a Nishmon before. And then it got even worse because like Ashker Ninja wasn't around and everything like that. But just one Pokemon, one move, invalidating the entire thing is uh, is just insane to me. Like the fact that that Mon was able to do that is just crazy to me. But Dracovish, yeah, tomorrow is the final day of the Dracovish Cesspit test, so it
Yeah,
may end
that
up being
that
banned.
could make or break my current VGC team.
Well, I mean, for VGC specifically, you'll be okay because it wouldn't be banned necessarily. It'd only be banned in singles.
That's
But
true. I do kind of like in VGC though to try and mirror my team with what's allowed in singles.
that's fair.
Uh, but considering the insane luck I had with getting a shiny Dracovish
Obviously,
on,
you want to use it.
yeah, especially considering I got it in Sword. I spent more time getting the fossil parts than I did hunting the Dracovish. I wish
Ain't
I
that
had an Elgato so that I could have been streaming when that happened. I literally got up and ran in circles.
ain't that right? That's
But
funny.
yeah, so there's obviously that. Clefable being near unkillable has really messed with the metagame as well. I think you said like 60% usage.
Yeah, it's actually pretty insane. Clefable is near 60% usage, and it's like it's so good that it makes your team worse if you don't have it. Like your team is objectively worse if you do not have a Clefable on your team, just because of the combination of Wish, Teleport, and Magic Guard. Make it an amazing pivot, just being able to get its stats to
Right, which
up.
Wish and Magic Guard were great before, but with the change to teleport,
Yeah, it just makes it so much better. Like it's absolutely insane. So yeah, that Mon is just a crazy Pokemon
right,
to be
because
able to
it's
come back.
like, oh, Clefable's probably slower than the things that are going to be hitting it. Let it eat the hit and switch into something that gets the heal. And it's like,
No, it's absolutely insane. Like the fact that that Mon doesn't have to care at all about that. And it's not even that like Clefable's so good that um it just how do I say it's crazy because that Mon is so good at other things too. Like Calm Mind is actually starting to be a little bit more used as well at the moment, which is crazy to think about just how good that Pokemon is. That it's so good at one thing that it does that it could completely do a different thing if it wanted to, just to completely like
throw people
smack and
off.
throw off the opponent. Exactly.
It's like, oh, it's a Clefable, Wish teleport. Nope, Calm Mind Thunderbolt.
Exactly. Exactly.
Uh,
And like it's insane too. And I'm just it's funny that they suspected these two right before DLC came out. Again, as we mentioned a little bit before, that you don't want to you don't want to do things because of like, oh, DLC's coming out, don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. But
Which I think suspect testing needed to happen on those two, but I think that based on the
should have been
result,
earlier.
I think the suspect testing should be have like an extension once the DLC comes out. Like whatever decision you make, leave it for like the whatever week or so until the DLC, and then resuspect test once the DLC comes out, so we see, oh, is there something that counters this now?
Oh, definitely, definitely. Like the good thing is that they are most likely going to resuspect test Pokemon like this, but obviously we still have to deal with a meta without it. So it'll be interesting to see how they end up adapting. At the end of the day, though, I feel like it's a really interesting change, and I do think that Dracovish is going to end up being banned, which is interesting because we might end up getting like Pokemon like Tangrowth that can help deal with it and things like that. So
Right, and don't get me wrong, Dracovish is busted, but at the same time, I love the Galar fossils. I know that a lot of people think they're ugly, I guess, but
I think they're fantastic.
they're supposed to be. They're based on paleontological errors.
Yeah, they're making fun of it. They have such personality, which I love about it.
And Dracovish, personally, for me, is my favorite fossil Pokemon out of all the generations.
Yeah, I think honestly, this is my favorite, one of my favorite generations of fossils, and like I haven't liked fossils this much since Gen 1, where I loved Aerodactyl and I loved well, Aerodactyl's Amber, but I loved Aerodactyl and I loved what's it called? Um,
Kabutops.
Kabutops, exactly.
Yeah, and I like that they finally weren't rock type. Like that was one thing that held some fossils back.
Yeah, being part rock, I can agree with that. Like these guys were resurrected, but they were completely different, which was so cool when you look at it. Yeah, I think that's incredible.
And another Pokemon whose role has shifted dramatically that shocked me was when Torkoal got bumped up to OU. I was
Yeah,
I was like I saw that and I'm like we're talking about the same Pokemon here, right?
the same one that Flannery had. I mean, that's more so having to do with Sun just being better.
Right.
Growth Venusaur being legal with Earth Power and Weather Ball were huge, absolutely huge changes for the Sun as a metagame. And then you have obviously Darmanitan to abuse it, and them giving just a whole bunch of Pokemon access to Weather Ball was such a big thing, especially when the absence of hidden power would make Venusaur weak to Corviknight and weak to Ferrothorn. Now it has a way of bypassing those. It's actually its strongest move, unless it's a super effective attack. Like unless you're hitting something for super effective damage, Weather Ball is Venusaur's strongest move. So it's crazy in the sun. That is.
And speaking of um hidden power, Jolteon took such a hit.
Yeah, it took such a nerf.
Like
Honestly,
HP Ice being gone was
Signal Beam too. They
and
got rid of
Signal
Signal
Beam,
Beam.
yeah.
All they can do is Shadow Ball right now. They
That
can Weather Ball. They did give it Weather Ball, which is
right.
again a cool thing. But
But
yeah,
see, for
niche.
me, that was my main complaint about Gen 1. I'm fine limiting the Pokemon a little bit. That was fine. I knew they were going to be bringing them back, whether it was DLCs or just patches in general.
Yeah,
But when you take out almost half of the moves that exist,
it
like,
makes a big thing. But I think a lot of them. I actually made a video about this. I think it has to do with just stuff they could do with the coding. Hidden Power promoted hacking, so maybe they wanted to get rid of it for now. Because I mean, it's a lot harder to get a great mon with Hidden Power with the perfect IVs, especially if you want to do Trick Room and stuff like that. And then if you have like Pursuit, for instance, Pursuit since the beginning of Pursuit's time always had trouble with coding. There was always errors with Pursuit, starting from like, Gen 4 had acid rain glitches. So there's just a lot of issues with certain moves, and they just decided. And same thing with Return and Frustration. I believe the reason they got rid of those, again, these are all just speculation, was because they always had an issue with those moves on the rental passes. So I guess they decided, hey, we couldn't fix this in time, so let's get rid of this for now. It might
Right.
come back with DLC. Who knows?
And I'm really hoping Return comes back in the DLC because
I agree.
I feel like that could really help some Pokemon.
I agree. I agree completely.
Like Grapploct, if it had Return, that would be a heavy hit.
Also, it actually has like, yeah, I can see that. I think also Pokemon obviously like the normal types, Snorlax, Lopunny when it comes back and things like that. Snorlax is okay because Body Slam is just as good, if not, better if you could argue because of the para chances. But like on Choice Band Snorlax, for instance, you probably won't return.
Right. And speaking of Choice Band, you mentioned Darmanitan earlier.
Oof,
Guerrilla Tactics.
crazy ability. I loved it. They gave a choice item to a Pokemon. I think that's so cool as an ability. I absolutely loved the thought process behind it, and really sad when that Mon got banned. You know, I was very sad that it wasn't. I was very sad that it wasn't suspect tested.
Yeah, they were just like insta ban. Like that's not really fair. Like insta banning a legendary is one thing.
But like Pokemon like this, yeah.
And another thing that surprised me was looking at Galarian Darmanitan's Zen mode stats.
Yeah, they actually made it viable, which is
Because
so
I
cool.
remember Zen mode Darmanitan was so bad in Gen 5.
It was very bad because of the way to do it. And now it's like
And,
even regular Zen mode also got a little bit of a buff now because of the fact that heavy duty boots exist. So you can actually,
right. And I feel like another thing that's really going to change with the DLCs coming out is the starters having access to their hidden abilities.
yes, I
C-
think that's going to be so cool.
Cinderace and Rillaboom,
Yep, the best ones. Seriously.
like grassy terrain or grassy surge, Rillaboom's already a tank, but with grassy surge,
It just got better.
and then Cinderace is the new Greninja.
Exactly. Amon is going to be fire. I absolutely cannot wait to use it. Libero is great. I think Cinderace, I don't know if you play any draft league, but I think Cinderace is already fantastic, both in OU and in draft league, and they run very similar. Heavy duty boots was one of the best things they ever could have done for fire types and bug types. Very happy about that. Hope they buff bug even more, make it more super effective against fairy or resist fairy, whatever. But it was just like the Cinderace is going to be so crazy with Libero. And then obviously grassy terrain is going to be fantastic. Not only just because it's a good ability, but it also can support teammates.
Right.
Which
Speaking again of the starters, what are your thoughts on their signature moves?
I think Pyro Ball is fantastic. It's strong. It either misses or burdens usually when I use it, but it's very strong. Has really good decent accuracy, and good effect. Biggest thing, it has the best animation in Pokemon Sword and Shield. Can't forget that. Has the best animation in Pokemon Sword and Shield. But the biggest downside to that is it's low PP. If it had like 16, it'd be perfect. I think 16 would be great, but it has 8. Drum beating is a fantastic move too.
Yeah, that
It's lower speed. I think that's the best thing, especially when it's grass terrain. So even if you're hitting resisted Pokemon, you're still doing good damage, and you can outspeed like threats as well that might want to come in. Like if a Dragon type, for example, wants to come in on you, and it goes, and you go for drum beating because they want to try and revenge kill you, and then you're faster than them, and maybe you can knock them out with your next move, things like that. Could make a big difference. Snipe shot, I think they could have made Snipe shot better. In VGC, it ignores redirection, which is really cool. But what it should have also just straight up done was ignore abilities as well. So I should be able to, for example, hit Gastrodon with a snipe shot and do damage, not be
I
not be storm drain.
I think that would have been a good mechanic for
I think it
Snipe
would have
Shot.
been fair. It would have been fair. I feel like Inteleon got the short end of the stick.
Yeah, especially since its hidden ability is Sniper. Like
Exactly.
come on.
I feel like they could have done a little more of that, but it's all good.
And another thing talking about speed in general, I saw a ridiculous strategy a few weeks ago. Somebody, I sent in an Espeon. This was on Showdown.
Hmm.
Clearly, it's going to have magic bounce.
Yeah,
This guy sticky webs with Galvantula. I'm like, what are you doing? It's going to bounce back. Then he U turns into a Malamar.
gets the boost.
Yeah, it boosts instead of dropping. I was like, oh,
Yeah, I have used things like that. Yeah, you force it. You also use sometimes court change on the team too. That way it you get on your side. Though it doesn't activate Defiant anymore, if I'm not mistaken. It has to be your opponent's webs. But it's a really cool strat.
yeah. Um, Court change is also an insane move.
Dude, they gave it such good things. Pyro, how do you get it Pyro Ball and court change? Like everything else got one.
Yeah.
Ismon got two.
Well,
Ismon got two.
that's like in Gen 6, like granted Water Shuriken and Map Block can't even compare,
Yeah, yeah, but
but
I know exactly what
Greninja
you're
was
talking
the
about.
only one that got two signature moves.
And it was a clear favorite as well. It was a clear favorite.
I mean, it got Pokemon of the Year.
Yeah, for good reason too. It's a damn cool Pokemon.
It really is. Like, um, sort of moving away from how DLC will affect competitive, just into the DLCs in general. What are you looking most forward to with the DLCs?
Metagross. Can't wait till you have Metagross. Can't wait for a metagame to be shaken up. I've actually been playing a lot of the National Dex OU as of late. Now, while I do have problems with it, Zimu shouldn't be in the game, Hidden Power and Pursuit shouldn't be in the game, whatever. I do enjoy there being a diverse number of Pokemon. Now, I was completely fine again with them cutting Pokemon. I think a limited metagame can create better strategies. Um,
It
as
forces
long
you
as
to
you
create better
yeah as
strategies.
long as you as long as you do the proper bans, which is why I think that Clef and you know this mon Dracovish should have been gone way before, because I feel like that would have shooken up the metagame a lot. I feel like the metagame would have been a lot cooler, better, whatever the term is that you want to use it as. And yeah, like I said, I think it can make for a lot cooler things. And as I've been playing National Dex OU, I've been able to use a whole bunch of different Pokemon. It's been a lot of fun. Speaking of which, I actually think that Megas will eventually come back. Like I'm
I'm
actually,
I'm hoping so. One thing that I think without a doubt needs to be a mechanic is you can either Mega or Dynamax. You can't Dynamax a Mega. That would be broken.
I think if they do allow it, they're gonna keep it just because Z moves and Dynamax are both allowed at the same time. So I feel like that's something they would allow. It definitely is busted. Um,
Right, but could you imagine a Dynamax Mega Rayquaza with a Dragonium Z?
oh yeah, yeah, I'm pretty sure if you do Z move, like I mean, it's the same thing. Like a Mega had to wear an item, you know. Mega has to
Except for
wear an
Mega
item,
Rayquaza.
except for Rayquaza. Exactly, exactly.
I'm using Rayquaza as that one
Yeah,
ridiculous example that
yeah,
is like so good it's even banned from Ubers.
yeah.
Because doesn't have to have an item to Mega.
Just needs a move.
Yeah. Now, granted, I did think that was a cool mechanic in Gen 6 when it first happened, but then I realized, oh, this is kind of broken.
Oh, it's a hella broken one.
But yeah, I think for me, one thing I'm really looking forward to is regional variants of legendaries.
For sure. I think the one of the coolest things is for sure the Moltres. I think all the birds look great. I'm not Moltres, but Zapdos actually is looking super cool to me. But I think all the regional variants look fantastic, and I'm so excited to try them out. I'm really hoping for like an electric and like fighting Zapdos. I think that'd be really cool. Uh,
Have you seen the meme where they're saying Articuno looks like the triangle shaped bird from Angry Birds Space?
I had not, but that sounds really funny.
Well, it's because of the goggles.
Yeah, yeah. That's actually very funny.
um, One thing, speaking again of megas, just this doesn't really have to do with competitive. One thing that always kind of irritated me was only Kanto and Hoenn got starter megas.
Yeah, I feel like this is something that they will eventually go back to, and they wanted to do more with it. They just kind of just didn't set the pace. Like I do think that when we get DV remakes, which I feel like we'll be getting in the near future, maybe next year, maybe the year after, probably next year actually. Uh, I do think that megas may come back. What I really want them to do though is I'm kind of tired of this like, oh, Z moves, oh, Dynamax. I don't think they need to
Keep
do that. You
adding
know what I mean?
mechanics.
Exactly. I think what they got the regional variants, I think hit it right on the head. Like that. That's 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 amazing because what uh that's exactly what animals do, right?
Yeah,
They
they adapt to
they
their
adapt,
environment.
and exactly that's why you have like white rabbits where it's snowy, or you'll have like brown rabbits where it's more grassy or jungly, wherever it is, just to adapt to it and look, and hide in it and whatnot.
Yeah.
So I think it's just I think that's one of the coolest things. The forms are some of the coolest things ever, and they make so much sense too. And I love the lore
Yeah,
behind them.
and speaking of the regional variants, one thing that I've gotten into so many arguments with people about is they're like, Alolan Exeggutor shouldn't be a dragon type. How is a palm tree a dragon? There is Alola is based on Hawaii. There is a palm tree native to Hawaii that is literally called the dragon palm tree.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I mean, there's always something behind it, even if it's whether it be like a funny thing or like making fun of it, like the fossils, or actually in terms of executor, just based on the region. That's it.
Right. And I do agree that I think Megas will be back in the DP remakes, but I don't just want the Sinnoh starters to get Megas because
Yeah,
Soul Silver was my first game back in like 2010 when I started playing. And
good game.
yeah, it's a great game. It's not only my favorite Pokemon game, it's my favorite game of all time.
Would be perfect if the levels are better. You freaking go to Kanto and then you
Yeah,
fight Red and he's level 80.
which is why I'm glad that Drayano did what he did with Storm Silver.
Yeah, yeah, he fixed up the leveling. He made it easier to gain levels. He made trainers harder as well, which yeah, a lot of stuff. I think Pokemon could have done that too. I think that would have been. I mean, Heart Gold, Soul Silver are considered some of the top three Pokemon games.
For me, Soul Silver is the best video game ever. I have so many memories with it. And Lugia is my favorite Pokemon, but Typhlosion, I wanted a Mega Typhlosion so bad when Megas came out.
I want a Typhlosion that has what's it called?
The
A good,
fire in his
yeah, a good
model,
spray. You know what I mean?
like, it only uses fire in combat. When's the only time you see it? When it's in combat. Like, don't get me wrong, Cyndaquil is still cute, fire or not, but it took away from how good Typhlosion looked.
I agree.
There are just some Pokemon that 3D models harmed more than they did good.
Oh, I agree. I think Typhlosion was one of them. That's a specific one that I think could have been so much better.
I
I think
think
Typhlosion the
Typhlosion
anime
got
looks so
hurt the
cool.
worst by it.
Yeah, I would say Typhlosion, and let me look for Alligator's new one.
Personally, I didn't think Feraligatr looked bad.
It didn't. It used to be like this hunchback crocodile though, which I kind of, or this gator, I kind of like that more than the slim down version of it. Gonna be honest,
That's true.
but that's
But
just preference.
yeah, and honestly, I get that Johto's been remade, but I would like a 3D Johto game. And not a Let's Go one either. I mean,
If we get one, I think it'll be a Let's Go one. I actually, I actually
like
like the
Let's
Let's
Go
Go.
Johto would be nice, but I'm talking like I want Soul Silver ported onto the Switch 3D.
I feel that. I feel that. I mean,
Because like,
I would want it to be not necessarily a remake, but actually a third installment. I mean, we got Heart Gold, we got Soul Silver. Why not Crystal something? You know?
that is a good point. And see, for me, I think Soul Silver has the best replayability of the franchise. Like right now, I'm in my 20th playthrough of the game.
I feel that. I would definitely argue for Soul Silver. I definitely argue for again Platinum as well.
and I've used different teams nearly every time. The only repeat team members are starters, Lugia, the Shiny Gyarados, Crobat, and Ampharos.
Oh, you've used those all 20 times?
No, I'm saying
Oh, is it like
those are the
the
only
ones
ones I've
I
used more
actually
than
use?
once.
Oh, okay, okay.
Like in this playthrough right now, I'm using all trade evolutions minus my starter.
Yeah, I just finished a randomized version of it. So I had some really cool mons too. Like I had a Garchomp, which was really fun to play through in Heart Gold Soul Silver.
Yeah, and Garchomp's another thing I'm looking forward to being able to use again when the
Oh,
Sinnoh
for
remakes
real.
come. Which I'm actually replaying Diamond right now as well, and I'm doing a ground monotype run.
Ooh.
And
Oh, and Diamond, what are you using? A Powdon?
uh, I I'm not super far into the game yet, but I'm using
Appinch Diglett?
I'm my final team is going to be Torterra, Wormadam, Sandcloak, Garchomp, Hippowdon, Steelix, and
Oof.
Gastrodon.
Lix is a fun one because that mon does not die.
Yeah, and ooh, it's, my mod Jedi plays had a perfect idea for what the Crystal remake could be called, since there's Heart and Soul for Gold and Silver, Mind Crystal.
Yeah, Crystal Mine makes sense. Yeah, though I don't know if they'd actually use that. It does make sense with Heart and Soul. Heart, Soul, Mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
See that.
but yeah, and another thing that I always thought would have been interesting is another game where you can go to multiple regions. That is, in my opinion, one of the things that makes the Johto game so good.
I really wish that Kanto was more expanded upon.
That is true. They
It's
could have.
very easy just to rush through. It's like extremely easy to rush through. I think that game could have been near perfect. It was if it was basically like the first story, but just like with added takes, kind of like how Black and White and Black and White Two are different.
Right. And yeah, like I said, Soul Silver's my favorite game, but overall generation, I gotta go Gen 5.
Yeah,
The story is amazing. The characters are great. Like, N is arguably the best character they've ever made.
fantastic character. I agree.
Um, and another thing for me is there's actually not a single Gen 5 Pokemon that I don't like.
I kind of feel that way about Gen 8. I actually
Yeah, Gen
talking about
8,
like based on how they did, but I'm talking about designs. Loved, absolutely loved the designs they had for Gen 8. I think they were all hits. Like I love them all.
right. And like, I'm glad Garbodor got some love in Gen 8.
Oh, for sure.
Because I always felt like Garbodor was so underrated. Like in Gen 7, my RU team, I had a Garbodor and I literally named it underrated.
I mean, I feel that it's definitely a Pokemon that is like underappreciated. It's one of my favorite Pokemon ever used in like the NU tier as a spiker and as an offensive Pokemon in general. Even in Grappley, I really like that mod too. I do think it's underrated as well.
Yeah, and it's a lot of the hate that Gen 5 Pokemon get, I feel like isn't really warranted because in Gen 5 it was almost like a hard reset.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they tried. They tried. And people got apparently people complain. It's crazy because now they consider Gen 5 to be one of the best games ever. But back then, everybody
It
was
was
crying.
like, oh, the Salk and Throw were just a rip off of the Hitmons.
Yeah, who cares? They're fighting types.
Fighting types aren't gonna look that different. I mean, there's only
Most fighting types look that way.
yeah, like
Breloom or like all of them, just any of them, just anything that's just fighting.
and it's like, oh, one thing that I do think Gen 5 did wrong was Alomomola not evolving from Love Disc.
I mean, main thing is like you said, they were resetting. They made it different.
Right. And I feel like that's the reason that it isn't. but I think they could have come up with some sort of link later on.
Yeah, maybe they'll have a regional variant where it actually does evolve from Love Disc. You know, like maybe even in Alola, right? It evolves into like a form of Alomola or something. Could be funny. I'm
Yeah.
sure they could tie anything in like that if they wanted to.
And
It's Pokemon at
another
the end of the
thing
day.
that Gen 5 did really well was bug types.
Oh yes, for sure.
Scolipede, Leavanny,
Volcarona, exactly.
Volcarona, even Durant. Like,
Yeah,
don't get me wrong, Durant's abilities are terrible, but
I mean hustle's good if it lands.
Hustle's good if it hits, but um yeah, just in general, I think Gen 5 was the best all around. And it was really a neat concept of, for the first time since Kanto, you can only use Pokemon from the region you're playing in.
And I love that. I absolutely love that. Obviously, they did that different in black and white too, but
Right, which I think they did that
the
because
people
they
who were
didn't.
freaking complaining.
Well, it wasn't so much that. I think it was just they didn't want to do it twice in the same region,
Yeah,
and so they expanded a little bit.
actually, they did such great things with that game. Like honestly, I really do.
And
I play through it again.
and honestly, Gen 5 has the best soundtrack too.
Okay, I can't hard agree with that just because I think the soundtrack for most Pokemon games are really, really good and memorable. Like, I love the
Right,
theme
and
soundtrack.
I I get that, and I love Soul Silver's sound, Heart Gold Soul Silver soundtrack too. I just have um the most memories of just enjoying the music in Gen 5. Like, cuz after a while I started playing with my DS on mute in most games. Like I'd get a feel for it, and then I'd be like, okay, I don't want to keep bugging people while we're watching a show. But Gen 5, that battle with N in the castle, that's the track for that.
Oh, it's beautiful. Yeah, I love the emotion one. As like the just the emotion one in general is like really good. Dun, dun, dun. Like the one that goes like that.
Yeah, and another another thing that I liked about Gen 5 was the people in the towns that you could talk to and it would add an instrument.
Yeah,
I want that back.
I feel like I wish there was like a Pokemon like mix type of thing too, where you could just do in general as well. You know, like just like a jukebox in the game.
Right, and there's actually a ROM hack that does that.
Oh yeah.
Pokemon Crystal Clear,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
completely open world one where you can
yeah.
where you can fight Blue, then Whitney, then Claire, then Brock. That game is so fun.
I've only seen playthroughs of it. I've seen a buddy of mine play through it. It definitely is on my recommended list for sure. I think things like that are just very underrated. I love when people make things like that.
Yeah, and I like how you don't have to settle for a regular starter. Like in don't get me wrong, I love the starters, but in my playthrough I picked a Houndour as my starter.
I mean, that's one of the cool Pokemon too from the generation. I
Yeah,
wish Dark type was better back in the day, as in like just stabs.
and Dark is my favorite type as well. Like I get it, it's funny. Oh, your favorite Pokemon's a psychic type, but your favorite type is Dark. So,
I mean, you're allowed to. At the end of the day, it's what you like, you know.
yeah, like yeah, a psychic type is my favorite, but four of my top 10 Pokemon are dark types.
Is Weavile up there?
Weavile is in my top 40.
Top 40. Is that all of them?
Um, I actually made back in Gen 6 when I was like 13, I ranked every single Pokemon.
How long did that take you?
About 5 hours. And those rankings have changed since then. Because back then, Bidoof was my least favorite Pokemon.
What's it now?
Furfrou, the crackhead Absol wannabe.
No.
I
Nah,
have a
Furfur got
reason.
like 50 hairstyles.
I have a reason for hating Furfrou. You're familiar with a cage lock, yes?
Of course. Normal A drive.
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, you know what a cage lock is. You've done them. My cousin and I mixed that with a Wonderlock.
Oh.
The double battle on Route 6 with the two Furfrous. I
You
lost my Larvesta and my Brave Bird Zubat and almost lost my Volt Tackle Pichu.
Playing a game of power, bro. First off.
And I was so mad because both of the kills were because of crits.
Oh my god.
And ever since then, seeing a Furfrou just triggers something inside of me.
Well, that damn fur coat ability too in game. Oh my god.
Yeah. And I was just like, I can't like this Pokemon anymore. The one that I caught in my first playthrough, I didn't use it, but the one that I caught in my first playthrough, why? You're fine. The rest of you can burn. I
I
just
would, I love Pokemon like that though that have like a fashion sense that goes with the world though. Like, I think
right,
it's
and
cool.
that aspect of Furfrou is cool, but just that Nuzlocke made me despise it.
Of course.
Plus, the first time I saw it, I was like, why is that Absol missing its horn? Literally, that was the first thing that came to my mind. um, and obviously, I'm using a Wormadam in my Diamond playthrough, but Burmy can't stand it.
I think
Wormadam is fine. Motham's cool.
I think Motham's pretty cool. I think that mine needs a buff. All of them do. But yeah, Burmy, the fact that it doesn't learn crap is what makes it the most annoying thing to
It's
play with.
also really annoying to train in Professor Oak challenges. Have
And
you ever
then
tried one
beating.
of those?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing one in Platinum right now.
How are you doing in it?
Um, I have a Torterra. I have a Torterra and a B barrel.
Hey, Bibs, that's a team player right there. That's a carry.
The HM goat
Facts. Bro,
literally
come.
learns like every HM except defog and fly.
It should fly. It should definitely fly. Flying beaver sounds amazing. First off, yeah, that
Be
mon
like
was definitely the go-to utility mon.
be like Appa from Avatar.
Yip yip, Babero.
I just recently started watching Avatar.
Again or first time?
First time.
Ah, good show.
I'm on episode 5 or 6, I believe. But
Oh, you're hella. Oh my god. Okay, you gotta keep going.
yeah, the first time it actually flew, which I knew it could fly because I've seen just little clips of Appa. I love Appa. I think he's adorable. But I think I think we need a bison Pokemon.
Hmm.
That's
You don't consider? I know it's a buffalo, but you don't consider buffalo
uh
almost bison
that
like?
that's close. But I'm talking like an actual bison.
Huh. I wouldn't be opposed to it. One that flies too, as a reference to Avatar.
Another Pokemon that or another animal that I think we need a Pokemon of is a dolphin.
Feeny? I'm joking.
We need a
Top,
dolphin Pokemon.
Tapu Fini definitely not. But yeah. I think an actual pure dolphin would be fantastic too. I would like it to be like a mystical dolphin though. Like
Make it a legendary even.
exactly like a legendary. That's exactly what I was about to say.
Like water and
It probably have to be fairy.
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
It can also be poison, and its lore could be It was tired of the way people treated the ocean, like water
That would be
poison.
cool, kind of like Cursula,
Exactly.
which I
Those
thought,
could be cool too.
yeah. Um, and obviously, you've played more Pokemon than me because you're a few years older than me,
Yeah.
and you started playing before I did.
Yeah.
Because I just recently turned 20, so you're
I got a couple years on me.
yeah, and you've also played it more consistently because there have been times that I've gone a couple months without playing,
Hmm.
and so you're one of those people. You're one of the few people who I feel like there's still things that I could be taught by, which is a part of the reason I wanted to get some of your input on competitive.
Of course. I
And
appreciate. I mean, I try.
and that's one of the reasons I really love your road to ranked is because it's opened my mind to so many new strategies.
Oh, that's coming back in the summer too, like it usually does. So
Yeah,
in
and
July.
I'm looking forward to it.
Me too. I know a lot of people are. It's one of my favorite series on the channel. It gets very stressful when I start getting lucked, but it's really fun. Especially when you top a tier. Oh, I love when a tier is like really like I breeze through it. Those are my favorite tiers. The ones where I just like breeze through the entire thing.
Yeah, like
Like RU or Ubers sometimes.
yeah, that RU run, I was like, bruh.
It was just like, yep, win after win. I got like 2 losses to hacks.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a couple lucky wins too, though. Don't get me wrong.
Oh yeah, but everybody gets those.
Facts. It was just good. But I wonder if we'll have tiers. I love like that this gen. Interesting to me. I guess we'll just see
Uh,
what.
And another thing Gen 8 has brought in is all four of my favorite types have been combined in every possible way now.
So dark and psychic.
No, dark, poison, electric, and fire.
Dark. Poison. We have electric poison. We don't have electric poison yet, do we?
Toxtricity,
Toxtricity. We do.
which Toxtricity is my favorite Gen 8 Pokemon.
It's a beautiful Pokemon. It's a good price.
And
Honestly, I think.
Morpeko gave us electric dark.
Oof. We have electric flying, obviously. We have flying dark already. We have poison flying. Yeah. No, I
Fire.
feel that.
Fire, not flying.
Oh, fire. Yeah.
Rotom Heat.
Yeah.
Uh, I do think Luxray should have been the first electric dark type, like he is
Yeah.
in the Drayano games.
You and everybody, bro. You and literally everybody.
And
Seriously.
anytime I'm not doing a themed run or a Nuzlocke where I don't encounter it, I use a Luxray in Sinnoh every time.
I mean, it's a good mod. Like they gave it having guts is pretty cool, but I don't know.
I, I
That mod should have been part dark for sure.
yeah, like there are a few Pokemon whose types I would change. Like honestly, I think Feraligatr could have been a dark type.
I can see it. Maybe it's Mega Will. Especially with Crunch, that'd be pretty cool.
And I feel like Meganium could have been Grass Psychic or Grass Fairy. They
Hmm.
could have added Fairy to it.
I can see that. And then what? Typhlosion, Fire, and what?
Um, gosh, I don't even know. I feel like Typhlosion was the most pure type out of the three.
Hmm.
But if I could pick a type to add to Typhlosion, I feel like Fire and I don't know. Uh,
Ground?
yeah,
Is a mole.
yeah.
Or looks like a mole, rather.
Well, it's technically a honey badger, but
Dang. Come on, they're in the ground.
yeah.
Fire ground would be cool, I think. Nice little camera.
Yeah. Um, Fire Ground, I feel like would have been a better fit for Embor too.
Yeah, I can see it.
and then give Samurott water fighting.
Oh my god, yes. It would have been not forgettable if it was for water fighting.
And I'm one of the few people that feels like all the Gen 5 starters are great.
I do like the Gen 5 starters a lot. I do, however, think, like I said, that a few are definitely forgettable.
And here's one of my most controversial Pokemon opinions. I don't hate the elemental monkeys.
Simisage and all them.
I I I like them. Monkeys are my favorite animal. So
Hey, I mean, more power to you. I do think there's a little bit of an around them. Not the hugest fan, but
I
if you
will
like them,
say that Simipour is my least favorite of the three.
it's arguably one of the best.
Yeah, I just like them all so much that I couldn't really pick, and I just went with the one that's the type that I like the least.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because grass is like two types above water in my list.
What's up with your? Why don't you like water?
Oh, don't get me wrong. I like water. It's in like my top 8, but I just like grass better because of my memories with Sceptile, my first playthrough of Emerald.
I used Turtwig as well when I was playing through Gen 4.
Yeah, and Turtwig was my first Sinnoh starter. Because the order I played the games in was Soul Silver, Black, Platinum, White 2, and then I got a copy of Emerald on eBay for like $10.
That's that's amazing.
And the thing is, I can still. It doesn't hold a save file anymore. Luckily, I transferred all my Pokemon out. But I could still play it if I wanted to because one, I have a Game Boy Advance SP, and I still have my DS Lite that I got when I was 6.
I have a few of my systems right back over there too.
Yeah, and the 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 fact that I have multiple DSs is the reason I'm able to do the Soul Silver playthrough that I'm doing right now.
Hmm.
Like right now, the only evolutions that still need to happen is I need Horsey to hit level 32 so I can trade it and get a Kingdra. Because I didn't want to wait until after the 8th gym to get Horsey, so I have a Heart Gold playthrough that's like about to hit Victory Road. So I flew back to um, Cianwood, went into the Whirl Islands, fished up a Horsey, and traded it to Soul Silver.
I do hope that trade evolutions are. I mean, obviously now it's better because we have Wi-Fi. Back in the day, man,
Oh,
it was
trade
tough.
evolutions were miserable,
I need them
especially
to be
because
done.
I was like one of the only people at my school that played Pokemon. There,
Yeah,
there were 3 or 4 of us,
I
and,
can feel that. It makes it come hard.
and then my Quilava still has to evolve. But I have Quilava, Horsey, and then I have Machamp, Alakazam, Gengar, and Scizor. And um, it's actually the first time I've ever used a Machamp in a playthrough.
I
I've
mean,
used
like ones like Gigalith and stuff, I haven't used because they're all
Yeah, and
unless like a
Gigalith
hack version.
is honestly my favorite rock type, hands down. It's a great Pokemon. Its shiny is amazing. I think Gigalith has one of the best shinies in the game.
I think that Gigalith it's blue, right?
Yeah, and like the red spikes turn like this almost kryptonite green.
I love the back. Like I'm not thinking about the back. I'm actually looking it up right now. It's like holy crap, this is definitely one of the best, like the actual best. What's it called? Shinies for it. Like it's actually a buff.
Yeah, like there are some Pokemon that look better not shiny.
And this one definitely does look good.
Looking at you, Pikachu. And don't get me wrong, Pikachu Pikachu's kind of a special case for me because, like, I don't really know how to put it in my countdown because until I started playing Pokemon, it was the only Pokemon I knew, so it's still got a special place in my heart. And so, like, it's almost tied with Lugia, but like, it's weird. It's a weird situation for me with that, which is why I'm glad tier lists are a thing now, so I can just group things instead of ranking them by number.
I mean, I like to see it as well because I mean, it looks like you spend a lot of time on these.
Yeah, I'm actually thinking about going on that tier list site and actually making a tier list of every single Pokemon.
Are you the one that actually puts them up there on the tier list maker?
Uh, I haven't uploaded any tier lists, but I there someone made a format for a tier list with all the Pokemon available, and like people have used it for specific categories. But I'm actually going to go through and make like, and I'm actually going to add in extra tiers so it's not like super long each tier. Like I'm
Yeah,
going to add like there's S, so I'm going to add S plus and S minus type thing.
I guess it's fair because then you end up with an S that has like 100 people.
Yeah. um, but yeah, what I guess this will be one of the last things we talk about since we're down to about 9 minutes. But what is one thing that if if you were in charge of making part of a Pokemon game, what is something you would add, remove, or bring back?
Well, I definitely bring back the actual timer to online so we can do 66 Wi-Fi battles, and I put an emphasis on 66 as well. I mean, which is the entire game. It's always interesting to me that what's it called? Um, that we end up playing VGC as the official format, but the entire game is singles. So
Yeah, that's something that always confused me.
it's weird. Like I would not expect it. I mean, eventually they did add doubles battles to the show. I remember the first time seeing double battles. I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And then it turned out there were events and stuff, but I don't know.
Uh,
That's
Jedi Plays said he'd bring back Megas. We were talking about that. Megas are going to be back in the DP remix, dude. They've got to
maybe.
be.
Yeah, maybe. I think Megas will come back eventually. Well, I think we'll see though. What
I think for me, I'd want to bring back the Pokemon in the front of your party walking with you.
Oh, I think that's such a sweet little thing for sure.
That's one of the reasons I enjoyed Soul Silver so much is I got so attached to my Pokemon because they were walking behind me.
And it looks so cute.
Yeah, like just a little Cyndaquil following behind you, like. And I actually still have my original team from my first ever playthrough of Soul Silver. I have them all in Pokemon Bank.
Uh,
I've still
I
got
I have mine in my Pokemon wrench.
nice. Yeah,
Like I have all my diamond Pokemon in there. I have to actually open it up.
that's really cool. I feel like another thing that I would like to see is using the unused type combos that we still have. Like fire grass. We've got water grass, we've got fire water.
Fire Grass for sure. Fairy Ground is a big one for me as well.
I
That
feel
I
like
think of.
fire and fairy would make a really cool Pokemon.
Fire Fairy would be nice. I thought Ponyta was gonna be that. Rapidash rather.
Yeah. Um but yeah, there's just so much that could still happen with Pokemon, and I think Pokemon has done a lot of things right, and that's why they've been like one of the best selling franchises of all time. Like the only franchise that's sold more games is Mario, which has been around like 20 years longer.
I mean, Pokemon is like the number one media franchise right now.
Yeah, like there's a reason they're on top, and it's because of all the things they've done right. Another thing that I think would be a nice uh, callback to older gens is in Gen 2, if you bred two shiny Pokemon, that raised the odds.
Yeah, I do. I did like that. I think that shiny Pokemon should have some sort of competitive value to them, though. That's one thing I'd add too.
Like,
Like they definitely should have it.
oh, Jedi Play said Minecraft's the best selling game. Yeah, it's the best selling individual game. I'm talking franchises, bro. But yeah, um, is there anything else that you want to talk about with this last 5 minutes that we have?
Oh no, I mean I'm just saying, like I'm excited to see what the Pokemon has for us to offer. I'm excited to see what Pokemon comes back with. I would love to see some sort of change in the game. Maybe make it harder, or again, I think that shiny Pokemon should have some sort of competitive value to them. It makes them better. Like, oh, got shiny Pokemon, they have like perfect six IVs, or like perfect three or four IVs, or like perfect five IVs. Without having
Yeah,
to
like
actually.
guaranteed IVs. Another thing that I saw, somebody brought this up in a Twitch chat. I was watching a stream one day. We've got the bottle caps. Someone pitched an idea for a rusty bottle cap that drops an IV to zero.
No, I think that'd be great.
That would be so helpful for Trick Room.
I think it'd just be helpful in general, man. Or even like drops them down, like a rusty one and a gold rusty one that drops it down to zero, or like a rusty one that just drops it down by the same way like a regular one does, like or
Right,
like maybe like by five.
right. Yeah, like there's a lot of things that could still be added, but I feel like Game Freak's going in the right direction,
I do too.
and I'm liking the DLCs. What we've seen of them so far. I'm looking forward to Cubfu and Urshifu.
I can't wait till I'm assuming we're gonna get a trailer in a couple of days to let us know that DLC will be like mid June. So that's something that I'm definitely excited about, and just being able to play that and just have that experience. And obviously Pokemon games adding more replayability, I feel would be pretty cool, like a battle tower coming back and things like that, or anything you
Right,
could do.
and that's one thing that I feel like has fallen off the last couple gens is the replayability.
I
Uh,
feel that.
like like I said, Soul Silver, I'm in my 20th playthrough.
Yeah, no, for me it's more so the fact that I like to battle. Um, like I battle so much, so that's like the replayability for me.
Yeah, and like Gen 5 has good replayability. I feel like Gen 6 where they rushed to get it out and so like over 80% of what they were going to have in the post game didn't even make the cut
Yeah,
because they wanted to hit the release date because like we never get to see what's going on in the power plant and um
it's a shame because Gen 5 was one of the ones that brought so many people into actually like playing Pokemon itself and Wi-Fi and things like that. I remember like a lot of creators boomed during Gen 5.
yeah, I'm talking about Gen 6 though
Oh, I mean
with
Gen 6. I mean Gen 6 as well. Sorry.
yeah, like Gen 6 is the reason I found your channel.
Hey,
Uh, it's how I found Shady Penguin even.
the goat.
Yeah, like so many of the content creators that I still watch to this day, I found because of Gen 6.
I mean, yeah, the battle spot. I'm coming at you with 2 videos a day. That is what I say. Shitty Penguin is the goat, bro. Hopefully, he finds a love for Pokemon again.
Yeah, I and I was trying to avoid this because I don't want to be that podcast that always brings this up, but I feel like part of the reason Shady fell off Pokemon was because of what happened with Nappy.
Nah, it's not that. He just has a thing that like he He just what's it called? He just has different love for different things. It's just how
Yeah,
it is.
and don't get me wrong, his Yu-Gi-Oh content's fun to watch. Like even for someone who doesn't know a lot about Yu-Gi-Oh, like I still find enjoyment in his videos, but I do miss like and that's the thing. Like a lot of the content creators that I've found, you're one of the few that still does regular Pokemon videos. Like you, Dan, and Michael from M&J TV. That like that's
Man, I love what I do, and I'm fortunate enough to be paid to do what I love, which really lets me have that freedom to do
yeah,
it. You know.
and that's the thing. Like ever since I was like 10 or 11, I've wanted to do what you do for a living, and like I'm starting to get there. Like I don't get me wrong, my channel is microscopic, but I'm getting there. And like it's it's people like you and like Dan who have actually made it that make me realize, oh yeah, this is still possible.
I don't think we made it yet. We're trying to make something of it as we keep going. That's it. It's
Right,
still
but just like it, it's been cool seeing your channel grow over the years. Because, like I said, I started watching your videos like back in 2013 or
yeah.
2014, and like I said, you're honestly the main reason I got into competitive Pokemon because I had only played it for the playthrough value before I started watching your competitive videos. Like
Yeah, I'm happy that you got into it.
I
That's
had
part of the joy of it. Like,
I'd had
I
no interest in competitive Pokemon until around 2016 when I started like binge watching your competitive videos. And I was like, "Oh, this is really cool." And so then I started trying to learn the breeding mechanics, which I'm still not an expert on, but I was like trying to learn things about it so that I could like expand my horizons within Pokemon. And I feel like you and like I said Dan and Michael, like the content creators are part of the reason these franchises do so well. Like it brings even more spotlight to them because like without the people making videos on it, there are some people that wouldn't find out about it. They'd be
yeah, they exactly wouldn't know about it.
like
And
they'd see, oh, it's like walking into GameStop. Oh, what's this? Eh, sounds okay. Haven't seen anything about it.
I think that like one of the joys is that knowing that people got to share and do something that I love. Like that's one of the reasons like why I love doing what I do because like to hear that you got into it because of it and to see people says like, hey man, I love Pokemon ever since growing up and I've never known this is a way you could play Pokemon and to see that happen just so cool.
Yeah, and like I said, I literally almost passed out when you agreed to be on the podcast. I was like, I've been watching this guy for years, and like the fact that your channel is so big and you're still willing to do things like this with channels that are literally microscopic compared to yours, like just the fact that you're willing to reach out and do these things,
That's
it
not a problem.
yeah, it's really refreshing because there are some YouTubers that like, yeah, they're really active with their community, then they blow up, and it's like, oh, you might get a heart on a YouTube comment.
I mean, realistically, it is difficult because I have a wife, I have a puppy now, and I have a lot of things I do. But I do
Right.
try. If I can't do it, I'll just be honest. Hey, no, I can't do it. I'm sorry, but I did try, and we were able to do this. So I'm happy we were.
Yeah, for sure. This has been really fun.
Thank you for having me. I enjoyed it too.
Give the puppy some belly scratches for me.
Have a great one.
You too.
Bye bye.
Yeah. Okay. So that is it for episode 1 of this podcast. For those of you watching it live, thanks for being here. For those of you watching it on YouTube, like, subscribe. There'll be a link to Joey's channel, even though you're probably already subscribed to him if you clicked on this video. I'm gonna link him in the description. I'll link his Twitter. Next week we'll probably be talking about shooter games, and there's potential. It's not confirmed, but there is potential for King Corbin to be our special guest. So yeah, thanks for watching. Peace.